the IAS officers in Rajasthan had called me at that time when I was the special secretary to talk to them. And they asked me, how is it that you could manage to resist the pressure of the politicians for postings? I said, I can only think of one reason. The people were on my side. The police force was on my side. Let me address you first as dear, invincible and fearless Ajits. Starting with your president Gopal Hosur, your mentor Ashok Dalwai of the IAS. You know, the IAS officers are generalists. They can fit into any job. But he is an expert on agriculture, as I have just seen. And I've read about the motto of the Ajits. Ajit hai, Abit hai. I have not come across so many Abits in my whole life, including that of the police, because I think that fear is a very important human instinct, keeps us alive. And I will just start by two assassination attempts which were mentioned by somebody. First one was in Jalandhar, which is the armed headquarters of the Punjab police. And we have an officers' mess there. And I used to go very often and stay in that mess. And my wife is to accompany me. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, as is my habit even today, we would go out for a walk. My wife is no longer there. She died 3 months ago, but I still go for that walk. And this, I never expected the assassins to come there. And because it was a very well-guarded headquarters of the armed police. But these fellows were very clever. They had painted a jeep in police colors with police written on it. And in front, along with the driver who was in police uniform, there was somebody dressed as an inspector. And behind him were 4 others from the same group of assassins. One as a head constable and 3 others as constables. And they were all properly dressed in the police, in the Punjab police colors. When they saw an inspector, they gave him a butt salute. They opened the door. Otherwise, the door is always locked during this, when the terrorist activity began, the doors were locked. Before that, of course, it used to be always open. And they entered and they came up to the mess. And around the mess were 3 Punjab policemen armed with their muskets, and they were shot dead. They were the first people who were shot dead, and they were all Sikhs. And I heard that gunfire, and I knew they had come for me. And as soon as they looked over the wall and began shooting at me, my reflexes were good. So I just lay down on the floor. My wife didn't understand what was happening, and she began bawling and asking, what has happened to you? Whereupon she got the bullet, and they thought that they had killed me, and they got into that jeep and went away from another side. They knew all the topography of the place. While going, they also shot at the guard in the CRP headquarters. Not headquarters, we had given them a temporary place where they stored their arms, etc. And they had mounted a guard there. So that poor guard was also shot. So not only 3 Punjab policemen, but 1 CRP man was also shot. But and then they announced that please pick up the body of your DGP from so-and-so place. Of course, there was no body, and people who came running, our officers, when they heard about it, so I said, let's chase them. And we went running after them. We got into our vehicles, went up to that place, but they had obviously kept a getaway vehicle in which they got into and went away. Later on, they were caught. One of our own people had helped them, one of our own people inside the mess. So he was also caught, and they were prosecuted. So that was the first assassination attempt. It was done very cleverly. And the Prime Minister, when he heard about it, he asked me to come and meet him. And he said that now I must have a proper IPS officer in charge of my security, because till then I had not bothered about such. I didn't have that kind of experience before. In Mumbai, we never went with any security. We just went wherever we liked, and without anybody to accompany you. I used to go for my jog in the morning. So it was very funny that this assassination attempt led to so much security later on, where your own privacy is totally destroyed. But it was a very cleverly done assassination attempt. And it is not possible to be abhit at such times. I mean, I got a phone call asking me whether I would like to continue there. I said, of course, I may not have liked to join this place, but now that I have this experience, I'm certainly not going to give up. On the contrary, I have to redouble my efforts to settle these people. So that was the first assassination attempt. I got only a scratch. They fired 59 rounds in Jalandhar, and they smashed the whole of the mess. The frontage was totally smashed. It was all glass all around. I got a small scratch on my arm. My wife got a bullet through her leg, and she had to get it the wound opened. And it didn't affect her because it didn't touch the bone. But in what is the capital of Romania? Now, at the moment,
Bucharest.
Bucharest.
Bucharest, yes, Bucharest.
Of course, I've stayed there for 4 years. So in Bucharest, I don't know how they got in. That was after Ceausescu was shot. They got in, they crossed the borders. They must have paid the border guards just $5 or something, because that is what the going rate was at that time. And they entered and they staked out the whole place. They saw that I went for a walk in a certain direction. Now our RAW, and then from the RAW, they passed on the information to the IB. So from the IB, I got a message that I should take local security, that I should approach the Foreign Office in Romania, and that there was going to be an attempt on my life. So the first thing I did was stop walking along that same place where I used to go, because they only look at your normal routine, and they take you on your routine. So I changed it, and I went to all sorts of places along different routes for my walk, but I didn't go along the path which I normally went. It was only after about 21 days or 22 days that I decided that now they won't expect me to go by this way. And that was a very good walk. So we took it, and my goodness, they were there. When I heard their vehicle screech, I knew that again that they had come for me. They jumped out. There were 4 of them, the driver and one other man in front and 2 behind. And the 2 in front, the driver and they remained as guards, and the other 2 chased me, shooting all the time. And I can tell you, I was 62 years old at that time. They were the opposite, I presume. They must have been around 26. And They chased me and they kept firing. I suppose because they were firing, they could not catch up. But I got into some house nearby on the side, and just at the door of that house, I got the bullet on my back, and then that I was landed up in the ICU there, which is a very egalitarian hospital, and for 21 days, 21 or 22 days, till the wound healed. The wound was, the bullet passed right through me, and I won't mention the place from where it passed because I'm still having the repercussions of that. Even if I wish to urinate, I have to sit down. I can't stand. I can't urinate standing up. So this is this. But the fear I'm talking about it is reference to the abhit part of it. It is not possible or to be abhit in such cases. You know that they have come for you, so you have to take your precautions. And in one place, I lay down and tried to save myself. In the other place, I ran. I ran and I ran faster than these boys. And two of them, but the Romanian security was excellent. Excellent. I mean, I can tell you that they are very well trained. I suppose they had Ceausescu's old time. And then they got two of them. They brought down two of them and they caught one more of the other two. And only one man escaped, but he escaped in another escape car. So there were five of them, I found out. And they disappeared. And they told me that they would catch the two of them, but they never managed to do that. I don't know from where they escaped, whether they escaped through Bulgaria, which was also quite close. And so this was about being abhit. And the assassination attempts will force you not to be an abhit. You have to be always careful. Well, let me now talk about Bijapur. I used to be the SP at Sholapur from 1962 to 64. The SP at Bijapur was a Goan like me. I come from Goa, and so did he. And incidentally, I didn't know him then, but we were neighbors. From my mother's village and his village were next to each other. Padmakar Hallankar, very fine officer. He's no more, but he was DGP of Karnataka. He was Commissioner of Police, Bangalore. I remember him with great affection. At one stage in Delhi, we were staying on the same building, and so he used to come from Bombay because his wife was from Bombay. So whenever he went home to his wife's place, they would both come and have breakfast with us, and then and then their car would be sent from Bijapur, and they would go there. I had mentioned to Satish Manashinde that the first bishop, the local clergy of Goa, the first priest, the local priest, a Goan priest who was made a bishop, was made bishop of Bijapur. And though he like me and everybody else who was, and all our ancestors were converted, and we had castes and we had our own surname, and our surnames were all changed, and we were given the surname of the priest. If the priest was a Ribeiro, you got that surname irrespective of your caste. So they wanted to break that caste system. They did not succeed. They wanted to see that we stopped speaking our own mother tongue, which is Konkani. They only succeeded as far as the elite, what you call, is concerned. But though they also, at home, they did speak Konkani, but they also started learning Portuguese. But the poor Christians, who are the great majority, and they mostly belong to the what you call the OBCs now. I mean, they never learned Portuguese, and they continue to speak Konkani. So that also the Portuguese did not exist. But what I was talking about is that this priest was made the Bishop of Bijapur. And when he was made Bishop of Bijapur, his surname had been made, his family surname had been changed to Castro. He was Mateus de Castro, Dom Mateus de Castro. And but he added his Hindu surname, old family surname, which was Mahale. You know, it was a very common Saraswat surname. And he was from my wife's village of Diwar. And that is how, so Bijapur has got a connection with me through Hallankar and Mateus de Castro. But Mateus de Castro, I did not know. This was 200 years ago. But Hallankar I did. And he was a good friend of mine. So that was about Bijapur. Another connection I have with your institution, the Sainik School, was that one of my friends became the principal of the school, Siriaco Lobo. He was of my age. He was born in the same year, but he went to St. Xavier's College. He was a very good student, always a first-class student right through his university days. And I went to another college where commerce only was. There was only one, those days, 2 commerce colleges in Bombay. Now there are so many, you can't count. There was only one law college in those days, and I went to that later. There, now you have so many law colleges. So this is Siriaco. Siriaco was his elder brother, was my colleague in the IPS. He had a fantastic reputation. He was in charge of the Prime Minister's security at one stage. When the Prime Minister Morarji Desai had an air accident, he was the main person in charge of his security. And later he became the director of CBI, and he was the director of CBI when I was in the CRP at the headquarters in Delhi. This is my connection to your institution. Now I was told by Satish Manishinde and the other gentleman who came to see me at my house that they would like to hear something about my career and how. You know, people today also tell me, Ribeiro Saab, in your time it was like that, and now it is quite different. We don't know why that time cannot come back. Well, it is a different epoch and a different time. You can't expect the same situation now. I often think to myself that if I was the commissioner today, I think I would just chuck up the job. It is not possible to function in the way it is being dealt with now, because the commissioner is no longer in charge of his own men, and unless they know who is in charge, it's very difficult to run an organization or a force like the police or even in the army. Say the army, if the defense minister begins saying where he should attack and where he should not, what should be the tactics, when I suppose we lose every war, but every battle. And this is what is happening on the streets of the cities. They are losing every battle because they have to follow the instructions that are given to them by the politician, which is not their job. It's the job of the police. You choose the correct man, and if he doesn't deliver, you change him. But you can't decide to run the force. Well, after I had retired, I found that the home minister here used to call even the inspectors to his office and tell them what to do. So I picked up my phone and remonstrated with him. How can you do that? And I wrote in the newspapers, particularly in the Marathi papers. So he got a little upset and told me, "What are you doing, Ribeiro Saab? You are making fun of me." I said, "But you are running the force, and that is not your job." And then but they are doing it, and that is what is causing all the blips that you see in the service. So let me tell you about 4 postings, the last posting that I had, and the main things that happened there and how I dealt with it. The first was in Thane. I was the first police commissioner of Thane. Thane is just near Bombay. It is not as big as Mumbai, of course. It is much smaller. So it was easier to handle a commissionerate like Thane. And I got hold of my DCPs. One of them was the former SP of Thane city, who poor fellow lost his, he was subsumed into the commissionerate. Like I was subsumed many years earlier when I was the SP of Pune city. I was the last SP. And then they formed a commissionerate. Then you remain as the DCP and you help the commissioner to do his job. So here I asked them, what should we do in order to make a difference from the old system to the present system? And they said people will be happy if we liquidate these antisocial elements. And the antisocial elements are the ones who deal with liquor, who deal with gambling, the satta betting, and also the prostitution. These are the ones that really rule the roost because they pay off the police, and that is the problem. They are not put in check. Now, I said, how do we do that? Let me think about it. Unfortunately for me, at that time, there was the police unions and the policemen. I called them and I said, what is your problem? I know what your problem is. And I said, you can't fool me. I know for certain that you are fighting over the haftas, over the distribution of the spoils that the police stations get. So I said that I am with you. If you want to fight it, I am there with you. And they were so enthusiastic that I saw that this was my best chance to do what the people wanted. Because after all, we are servants. We are servants of the people. And the people don't want these nuisance because they find that they really overstep their limits, and they are not criminals who want to hide themselves or their identity. They in fact boast of their identity because they are so close to the police. So we took the help of these policemen and of course the DCPs and smashed all those. And I think we really smashed it, because I remember much after when I was shifted to Mumbai city as commissioner, one journalist from Thane coming and telling me that there was an old, I know her, she was an old BJP worker in one of the small places there, and but she was very, very tough. And it appears one of my successors wanted to show that he was as active as me in smashing this antisocial element. So he said, "Are you happy now, Mrs. So-and-so?" She said, "No, I'm not. Please do it like Ribeiro did it." Now, I think the difference was that I really meant to smash it. Whereas if you don't really mean to smash it, you just want to show and make a show of it, which is very common, then they are not going to, people are not going to believe you. People are not fools. They understand very easily if those lords, those drug lords and others, if they really care about what the police is doing, and if they are frightened, the people would know. So this is in Thane. That was the main thing that I did. I was there for less than a year. Then I was transferred to Mumbai as the police commissioner. Mumbai was my family roots are in Goa, but basically I was born in Bombay. my great grandfather had migrated to Mumbai 200 years. Now it is 200 years. So at that time, say 125 years before. And I consider myself as a Mumbai Goan. Even my cousins over there who are in Goa, they call me a Mumbai Goan. They call me and my brothers and my sister Mumbai Goans. And so Mumbai is my birthplace and my karma. I went to school there. I went to college there, and I know a lot of people. And in Mumbai, it's a little more difficult to do what I did in Thane. But if you ask me what was the main thing I did, well, in Mumbai, to make people remember, I saw one thing which really weakens the police is that the policemen and the police officers at the lower level, they go and get their postings and their pressure put on the commissioner from the mantralaya, from the politician. And each one of them has some political connection because they come from the villages, they come from different places in Maharashtra, and there's always somebody to help them. So I called them all. I called not the whole lot of the force, but the main from each rank, even from the constabulary. And I said, I'm not going to do any of those transfers if I get any such pressures. You come to me. Every Friday you can meet me. Every Friday I will not meet the public. I'll only meet policemen, policemen's wives, policemen's children, policemen with whatever requests they have or complaint they have. Anybody could come, but there should be policemen of their families. And many of them I wanted transfers. Some of them were quite genuine. Some wanted, I presume, to make money. But I just told them that I'm going to watch you. I'll give you the place you want, but I'll watch you. If there are complaints, I'll send you to a far-off place. Do you know, in my little more than 3 years I was there, I didn't get a single complaint. Nobody told me that so-and-so is a damn nuisance in the area. And because nowadays you get that type of, even now that I've retired, you get these kind of complaints of people telling you that so-and-so is a nuisance. And so this was what I did in Mumbai. Another thing I did in Mumbai, there is what we call a police notice. Every day it comes out. And it is in the name of the commissioner. Sometimes the commissioner himself doesn't know that such an order is given. And mainly for bandobast. When there is some bandobast to be done, there is a strike by Datta Samant. They will say so and so many inspectors, so many sub-inspectors, so many policemen from this police station will report to this police station for this work. That is how they would send out that whole thing in my name. So I said that sometimes the policemen don't know for what they are being sent. So I got all my DCPs together and I said, you all talk to your inspectors in the police station and find out what they think, how it should be tackled. And the inspectors, before telling you that, should talk to the policemen and find out at the time of that roll call what they should do, what they feel should be done, so that they feel involved in that work, that they are part of the whole system or the whole, this that we have, the whole, what is the whole thrust of our, this, to see that the work, that our meeting that particular problem is done in a proper way. And I think it did help. हे काय झालं बघा हे बरोबर आहे हा त्यांना सांगा okay so this is about Mumbai. Involve the policemen in the decision making process, make them feel that they are part of the whole project, that they do their job much better. If they don't know what they're going there for, which very often happens, then it is pointless sending them and making them stand. I've seen them standing and doing nothing even when there is a big riot going on. So now when they know what they are going there for and they are part of the decision, they will work much better. So this was true things that I did in Bombay, which they don't, even today, they don't forget it. Then in Gujarat, I was sent there for 4 months. The army people were there for 5 months before I was sent there. And they were pressing the government to relieve them. So the government was very keen on imposing president's rule in case it was not possible to bring it under control. So they asked me, I was the DG of the CRP, so I was called to the cabinet secretary's office, or actually to his house, and told that they have decided to send you to Gujarat. So I said, well, and they had kept one vehicle, the plane also ready for me to go. So, but I said that there's one condition I would like to impose, that they should not interfere, because in Gujarat, there's a lot of interference in transfers, continuous interference. I said, no interference of any type. I'm not going to listen to them. And they agreed. So I immediately found out it was a communal riot, and the officer in charge of the army, the Major General, the area commander, he told me that 5 battalions were on the streets and they had become useless for war. This is what he told me. He said there was an attack, these 5 battalions are useless. And if I had to put them in battle shape, I require 5 months to put them in battle shape. If you keep them longer, I'll require so much time more to put them in battle shape. So I said, don't worry, I'll relieve them in 1 week. So I made provision for paramilitary forces, not many, not so many as the army, 5 battalions, not necessary. Not even 1 battalion was required. But what I did was I found out who are the people from the Hindu side and from the Muslim side who were active in the riots. And I detained them. And nobody was allowed to interfere in that. In the Hindu side, it was all the VHP people who used to write scurrilous messages on the walls of all the walls. And in the Muslim side, it was the bootleggers who were distributing arms, etc. So I had them all locked up, and the thing ended. So that was in Gujarat. And finally, Punjab. Punjab was totally different. It required a separate chapter altogether. I had no experience of terrorism. Terrorism is a different kettle of fish, because the innocent people are targeted. It's not your enemies or somebody. It's not a different community it's just that they want to cause terror. And they will murder, they'll just come down, they would come down, and there was a Jagran, or if there was a kata reading, they would just shoot the people there. And as long as they were Hindus, as long as they didn't have beards and headgear. So it was a very, very sad, and so we had to stop it. And I had laid down that the rules, but the police inspectors, 6 or 7 of them, huge fellows, you know how the Sardars are, they came to see me. And they said, Ribeiro Saab, you come from Bombay, where the law is different, where people are law-abiding. It doesn't work over here. And if they see us on the road in our uniform, they shoot us, because they know who we are. We don't know who they are, particularly at night. Because at night, Mr. Barnala, the CM, told me that the police don't go out. The police, when I asked them, they said that, look, if you allow us to go in plain clothes, it's possible. because when we go in uniform, they know we are policemen and they straight away shoot us. We don't know who they are, whether they are agriculturists looking after their own farms or their own land, or they are terrorists who are out to create trouble. So I had to make those concessions. And I must say that I'm not Abit like you all. So I did not even agree to them by word of mouth because I was dumbstruck. And then I was, they were the police, the High Court judges who were staying next to me. Their houses were all next to mine. So I went and called on some of them. And two of them told me, Ribeiro Saab, just ensure that they don't come before us. You see, it was quite a different kettle of fish. So you had to make certain, when they are not operating within the law, they don't care for the law. You know, the normal criminals, they try to run away, or they bribe the police to get out of their problems. But these don't, they just put a bullet through you. So this is quite a different kettle of fish, and I'd never experienced it before. I'd gone to Northern Ireland, met the police commissioner there, and also I met the army people there, and I learned that their problems were almost like ours, only 1/5 the size of ours. So when I told them it's 1/5 the size, we have 5 times more problems than you. They said you have 5 times more people. That is why you have that type of problem. So now terrorism, I've written all about it in my book. We had to, there is only one way of stopping it, because it is more a matter of emotion. And that is, you use a person like Mr. Gill, because he was my number 2 and the charge of the operations. And he knew how to deal with this. And he told me he's a Sikh Jat himself. And he said that a person like you coming from here won't understand that. So that part of it, he was good at. And he would have his informants and other things. Whereas the other part, that winning over the great mass of the people, that Mr. Chamanlal and I, Chamanlal was and number 3 in my list. He is also from Madhya Pradesh cadre, a very, very fine and straight gentleman. But he would come, he and I would go to the villages and talk to the people, explain to them that this is not correct to kill people. And generally they felt what we said was correct, but they said they are our boys and they are not working for themselves, but for the comb. So that kind of fear of talk, working for the comb, that was eliminated only later when they found that the terrorists had become more a nuisance to them than because Mr. Gill had made it very difficult for even the common person. You know, the police also, as Mr. Barnala would tell me, the police would be a nuisance to the people during the daytime and the terrorists would be a nuisance at night. So we had to put that in order, and that is how we went about our work. I think I have spoken about the various jobs I've done. There is no better service. You see, we are all members of a service. Service means you serve. You are a servant, and you don't behave like as if you are the boss of the show. You have to serve the people, and if you serve the people, I think they will never forget it. So the police service is something that suited me because it was part of my inner, formation, I would say, even at home, to see that justice is done, particularly to those who have no other voice like the poor. So they never forget. They would never forget. And even poor things, small things, even their home matters, if you can just help them out, I think they'll never forget. So I was very happy that I served so many years in the police. I'm sorry that now that kind of service, sometimes I don't see indication of that type of service being done. And there are, of course, officers who are bothered about it. Many of them leave. I feel sorry for that also, because leaving is no solution. You have to stay within and do your own bit and try to help out wherever you can, so that people will know that there is some justice in this world, that if you do something right, you are not going to be troubled. If you do something wrong, of course, you will be, and the correct person will be caught. So this is, in general, the way that I tackle things. And let me tell you, I was not in no department of policing was I a great expert. I was more of a generalist, but I took my men along. And one thing that the IAS officers in Rajasthan had called me at that time when I was the special secretary to talk to them. And they asked me, how is it that you could manage to resist the pressure of the politicians for postings? I said, I can only think of one reason. The people were on my side. The police force was on my side. And with both those people on my side, the politicians were not able to do anything about it. So let's see how others get the message. I have written about it in my book. But you can ask me questions and I will be happy to reply.